And welcome back for part 2 of this month's episode of Ashes to Ashes, and I am hanging on to my internet by a thread. We will still try to push through this and make it awesome. So, how are all my players doing? Good?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Let's move on, shall we? Grodd, tell me about your gut instinct on what is in this duffel bag. Now that your character has made this connection.
Gut instinct that it's something that could make a big boom in these duffel bags. And I'll put two and two together. Big hole in the junk mountain here. Duffel bag sitting at the bottom of this big hole. You know, it's almost like they went like mining with explosives to get down here in the first place. So even though he's not 100% sure what's in these duffel bags, you know, he felt, you know, that there's something pretty explosive in these bags.
Here's another question for you. You ready for this? Now that you know that, do you open the bags?
Grodd wouldn't open them. He would maybe take a bag and tell Kier to take the other bag and just be careful with it. But no, he wouldn't open them.
Okay. Kier, what is your response when Grodd's clearly acting like this is an explosive?
Kier's like sizing up the. He steps back and looks at the size of the bag.
You know, I think judging by the size and judging by the condition of the bags and judging by the fact that debris just landed on top of them, they aren't volatile right now.
Right. So yeah, Kier basically before he picks up the bag, he flips on the flashlight at the end of his barrel of his gun and unzips the bag and like lifts up the side of the bag and uses the flashlight to like get a better read on what he's looking at. And,
yeah, you're careful. You're like, Grodd, as he's unzipping this, what does your face look like?
Grodd kind of like, Kier, we've been down here long enough. Just grab the duffel bag and go. Let's go before this whole freaking mountain falls on us.
And Kier, as he's telling you this, you look inside and you see these round grenades, almost cylinder-shaped with a blue coil on the outside, and these metal cubes that are rust-colored. And you've seen these before.
Yeah.
You saw them in the Clone Wars. The Separatists use them.
Right.
They're called displacer grenades, and what they do is they create a giant magnetic field and take all of the metal in the area and go and compact it into a cube. And it will encapsulate a certain space, but basically it was used to take Republic dropships and mush them down into nothing, with blood oozing out of them.
Yeah, and so yeah, you got the moment where Kier is looking at these rust-colored cubes, and it's like it's more like 15 or 20 seconds, and it's like his memory of these things is just like he hasn't seen these in a long time, but this is.
So let's flash back. You're looking through the visor of your clone trooper helmet, and you're standing on the railing of this drop ship. As you're like, and you hear this voice that says, "Can the pilot bring us closer?" And as you look over, you see General Kenobi and Commander Skywalker leaning over the side looking down, and there's a bunch of clone troops with their rifles near them. And you're the one in charge of the ship.
Yeah, and Kier would have been, it's like, go ahead, bring it lower, and I would have been up near the front with the pilot, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead, drop it lower. We've got
the
clearance
pilot
for,
responds to you real snappy, like, yes, sir, and starts barking orders. Right, we're gonna create an LZ down there. We're gonna need some cover fire. We're dropping off the general and the commander. And then you just see a bunch of blips on the HUD as the ship as people are, other ships are responding and coming on your wing. And down below, General Grievous is looking up at the dropships coming in, and he goes, all right, displace them. Turns around and just starts, his heavy metal frame walks away from the scene. And one of the robots is like, roger, roger. Fire and displacing weapons, and this giant turret with a coil fires this pulse out, and the pulse flies up near one of the dropships like flak, and then explodes, sucking the dropship in and crunching it down. And you see a couple clone troopers jump off. The Jedi flies off the side, but for the most part, the clone troopers in the gun turrets, they're screaming as the glass is compacted in, and you just see them get sucked up into this tiny, tiny little cube as it falls to the earth. And when you look down, you see more of these cannons are shooting you. You lose 3 more ships to your right, 2 more ships to your left. The pilot looks back at you. Sir, shall we continue?
And yeah, Kier was like, drop fast, like. We need to hit the ground now, and I look over at, he looked over at Kenobi and Skywalker and is like, I can't land anything with those.
The moment you look over at them, they get this, they kind of stare off into space for a moment, and then they snap back at you. Jump.
So there's like 3 of us in the air,
Yeah, you and 2 other clone troopers and them, they jump off, but the other clone troopers in your ship just, they get nailed by this displacer can, and you hear, it sounds like somebody's taken an aluminum soda can and twisting it and then crunching it inwards. And inside, you just hear the mangled screaming and bones breaking. I mean, it happens for that amount of time, but just in your head, you just hear the whole, no, and the sickening crunch of something other than just metal being compacted down, and it just falls to the ground. And you come out of your little PTSD moment with Grodd looking at the cubes in the bag. Your immediate assumption is that these don't really blow up, they suck in, so they were probably using these to clear out the metal. And there's 3 grenades in the bag.
3 per bag?
No. The other bag is full of metal chunks.
Okay. So, Kier doesn't really have a way other than maybe doing a mechanics test to actually check to make sure that these things are still functional. If they're, I'm taking a guess.
You could turn a dial and you could turn a dial and make them live without pulling the pin. But other than that, no. Not even a mechanics test, because they're just off. You basically have to turn them on to see if they work, or hook them up to a slicer kit or some sort of other diagnostic tool. If you were back at the shop, you'd be able to do it, no problem.
Right. So one bag is just full of scrap, like these compressed cubes, right?
Yeah, and the other bag has some cubes in it. It was almost like they were sorting the cubes.
So the bag I have has the cubes.
The bag you
Just
have
only
has
cubes.
only cubes. The bag he has 3 grenades and cubes that are different types of metal, I guess.
Right. So yeah, I would just look at Grodd. I'm like, this is something we can use later. We need to get moving.
He'll pull.
Could you roll a
look at the
mechanics
chunks.
check against 3 purple?
Mechanics check against 3 per. All right.
Or an explosives check,
Okay.
anything along that caliber.
Yeah, mechanics check, skullduggery. The only other thing I could think of would be to do a warfare check, but that's, I don't know.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If it's better
Alright,
than your
we'll go
mechanics,
with the
I'd
warfare.
recommend it.
Actually, I'm even on both. So warfare or mechanics, I can do either
Warfare would
one.
lower the skill to 2. Mechanics would keep the skill at 3. Knowledge education would make the skill 2 because you can use mathematics.
Right. We'll go with the warfare. So 2 purple, knowledge warfare, and
Nailed it.
you gad.
So how the turrets worked versus the grenades is these displacer magnetic. If you could harness the magnetic field, you can transfer it to another form of kinetic energy.
Okay.
So basically, these little grenades have a lot of energy in them.
Right. So the
And
energy
these-
would go out and pull the space
No, that's how they're
together,
designed now,
and then-
because the coils. But if you could just access... Imagine taking a shotgun and dumping the pellets out, and now you have the gunpowder. If you could figure out how to disarm them, you would have 3 devices capable of a lot of energy. Energy displacement.
Right.
And you know that if energy is displaced, it could be recaptured by a device that's designed to recapture it, say a battery.
Right. I'm like, so yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I look at Grodd, I'm like, there's a potential solution here. We could probably, I could probably refuel the, at least get the engine started.
These things from the grenades or the chunks from these?
No, the grenades. There's a heck of a lot of energy stored in these things. But I don't know if I've got the tools to work on it here. I mean, we'd probably have to take it back to Raoul's and tinker with it. But at least the grenades, yeah.
Come on, you've got light side. Of course you could work on it here.
Well, not only that, but Kier's already got his. He came with his tool pack too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't see a need to wait.
You stay down here and see what you can do. I'm gonna go up top, try to get some reception. See if I can
All
get
right.
a hold of Sirius and Lucius.
He's and I make sure that he's at least got a rope. I'm like, toss him some rope. I'm like, at least anchor yourself in, trying to get up that way. So
Yeah, I think you guys actually did have rope because you knew you were going to go climbing. So absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kier takes it takes at least the 3 grenades, and goes back to the engineering room, and sets things out. puts his helmet on with his visor and
I think
starts.
there's a moment where you realize that if you mess this up, this ship and you are going to be a
bad.
tiny little cube.
Right. And yeah.
And then you'll have to remake another character. And I will be 2 for 2 on killing people. I'm excited. And with that excitement, let's cut across to Grodd coming out of the hole. And as he's reaching up, he feels something grab his wrist.
And Grodd's just gonna be immediately shook, like
Do you reach
he
for a
reaches up
gun?
with it. No, he probably reaches back, and it's kind of like when you're
it firmly
swimming.
grabbed your wrist. It grabbed, and actually, it's pulling.
He's not gonna reach for his gun. He's gonna reach his other hand and pull on, grab whatever's grabbing him, and pull himself up.
You feel what feels like nice suit. You know what I mean? Nice fabric. And as you're pulled up, you see this dusty old man pulling you up with a dirty-ass hover limousine behind him. He's like, what in blazes are you doing down there?
It took you long enough to show up. Needed you about 20 minutes ago.
I came when I first saw the explosions.
Well, we got ourselves into a terrible mess. You seen my two buddies?
All I've
the
seen
big
is
guy.
junk. He points, and you realize that all 6 of the mountains that were nearby the area are completely collapsed.
It's like, yep, Lucius and Sirius have been here.
He nods.
Signature
My
move.
thoughts exactly. And I think that's when you see something in the distance, like C-3PO on Tatooine. Like through the dust, you can't tell what it is, but there's something approaching. Over here! Hey! Hey! No.
He'd immediately go to his comm links and he'd be like, Sirius, Lucius.
Yeah,
Anybody?
Sirius, you're approaching the site where you think that mountain was, the original mountain. And you see a black shape in the dust in front of you, and that's when the comms go, Sirius, Lucius, anybody, and it's Grodd's voice.
And I'll pull out my comm and say, Grodd, are you all right?
Yeah, we're good. We found a ship, and I think that's what they were looking for. Kira's down there trying. No, it's far from space worthy. It's old as dirt, older than you. And Kira's down there. He's trying to rig up some. He's got what he called displacer grenades, and he's going to try to
Immediately,
use them.
Bengar's eyes open wide, and he just runs down the hole.
And Ben's there, and he's just taking off now. He's running down the hole.
I've sent Lucius to get medical aid for some officers that became injured in the fall. We should meet with him as soon as possible.
Okay, I think you first might want to come down here. Kira's messing with some dangerous stuff. Those things, they weren't pretty. They basically cleared out mountains of junk.
This displacer grenade, and I'll start to run.
You've heard
Yeah,
these. You were around during the Clone Wars. They were like Agent Orange. You know what I mean? They were the weapon they were the weapon that the Republic was like, no.
Yeah, what the fuck, you droid army
'Cause
assholes?
You could turn them into missiles and use them on spaceships.
And they're fucking around with that inside of the spaceship that we want to use. Totally smart. Aren't you the fucking smart one over there, Mr. High Intelligence? What are you doing? Okay. I'm gonna come
Doing
run.
my damn job.
Meanwhile, Kira's like, I'm Pickle Rick! No. Yeah, serious, do you run down there? You're muted, bud.
Sorry, yeah, I'm running to try to find the homies, man. Did I see the sort of form ahead of me? Or was that just Grodd seeing
The
me?
form was Grodd in the car. It's that dusty.
Okay, so I'll run up
And by
to
the
that.
way,
To that.
You guys are covered in a red dust. I don't know if you've ever worked with rusty metal before, and there's this red dust that gets all over your clothes. It almost looks like mud. There's a red dust filtering through the air.
Grodd's red anyways, so.
Yeah, but
Maybe
now
like
you look.
camouflage
Now
now.
you look more. Yeah, exactly. You're like. I don't know why I did the Cactar Man pose from Final Fantasy, but that's what just happened.
So I'll run up and grasp Grodd on the shoulders and shake him, say, "Oh, you're all right, my friend. Take me to care before he destroys us all."
Yeah,
So everybody runs the cure. What the hell? We're gonna destroy everybody. Everybody's going down. New characters for everybody.
it's just
Nope, not for me.
Yep. So Sirius and Grodd run down, and they come up the ramp, and this ship looks old as old can be. I mean, it would literally be like if Somebody from the newest Star Trek movie walked onto the 1966 set of the Enterprise and tried to compare both ships. You know. No. Not gonna... It does not look the same.
It's very old.
Yeah.
In fact, there are a lot... You know what you notice the most is there's a lot of analog switches and buttons as opposed to interfaces and sockets.
Do you think all this is necessary?
And as we're walking, running down here, I want to talk to Sirius, and I was like, when I first entered the ship, I'll tell them what's going on with the generator and the computer where they were looking for information on the Starforge, and I'll relay that to them. You know, they were looking up something about the Starforge on the ship.
Starforges.
They say that there's an empty file, right? He was saying that there was a file called Starforge that's empty. And then you have this brief flashback of the Sith Inquisitor with the slicer kit on his belt.
Saying he got what he wanted, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll say I think I know who has it. We may have something to bargain with, perhaps, if we wish to go down that route, but...
Well, whoever it is, I don't know if I trust them. They got some pretty dangerous technology with those grenades.
It was
and you
the
guys
Sith.
walk right into the engine room, as you say, it was the Sith. And
Perfect.
And Bengar's looking at Kier and he's like, "That's actually brilliant. I'm sorry."
Like, Kier looks up at Bengar and is like, "Come on, man. After all we've been through, and we're still coming back to this? You
Listen,
still question me?"
When they used that on us, it collapsed the trenches on my men and made them into tiny little sandwiches. I wasn't in spaceships like you. I was on the ground, and I saw what it did to those walkers. But this is actually brilliant. He kind of looks impressed.
So I'll look at the old guy, and I'll look at Kier.
I wonder if you remove the fusion core from the speeder, the energy cell. I wonder if that would work too.
Which speeder? Which one did you bring?
My limo, my battle limo.
Hey, Mike, you got the tools to pull it out?
Oh, I don't need tools. It's modified.
That's one thing I always liked about working with you.
Get this.
Yeah, they
puppy rolling.
completely. They walk through Sirius and Grodd almost like two guys who hadn't seen each other in 10 years, and they're talking about their best favorite football team. They just walk past you guys. And you guys are sitting there in the engine room with 3 live grenades on the table, and one of them has a hatch open, and it looks like Kier had already started to take it apart. And you guys are just here in the engine room.
Brad says,
And it's deathly quiet.
Brad says to Sirius.
Something about the ship, Sirius. There's something about it. You don't know yet. There's a presence of the Force on this ship.
So what were you going to say, Grodd?
Brad says to Sirius, he's like, somebody mentioned sandwiches, and now I'm hungry.
And with that, we're going to cut over to Lucius. Lucius, the patrolman's carrying Buck, who is actually visibly pale. He's not doing good. His blood is actually starting to thicken. And he says, "Could you get that door for me?" And he motions forward to this door, and it is in a shit clinic. This thing's got a light outside that's like... And it says doctor on it. And
I know how well Grick is for a doctor, right?
It's not Grick. Yeah, you know, you've heard. You haven't seen.
Right. All right. Looking at that and kind of knowing that they've got a doctor, he's going to momentarily think, how close am I? And kind of assess the situation real quick.
You could hightail it back to Grick. It would just take 20 more minutes.
Can he tell if he's got 20 more minutes?
I don't know. You want to make a medicine check?
Yeah.
Or spit it a light side, and I'll tell you right off the bat.
Oh, fucking shit. Let's see.
Just clip it, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Clip it.
Yep. So there we go. Boom.
He might, but with severe adverse reactions, and even if he did make it through, the recovery time would be much longer if you wait. Somebody's gonna have to give him blood. And a dude this big... Whereas here, if the doctor's as good as the patrol guy says he is, you know...
All right.
But your gut instinct is telling you no, it would be too late. The risk is too high.
Right. And at that, as he thinks about it, he's like, fuck. He just pulls it right in to get to, what he's gonna do is, because the door's right there, he's gonna whip that van around so the back end is pointing right to the door, so they can just get the hell out and get him out of there.
Yeah, you guys, and he asked you to help him open the door to the clinic if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, and as soon as he stops it, put it in park, shut it off or whatever, and runs out to get the door.
Yeah, there's actually a valet there, an old separatist pilot droid, and he's like, "If you give me your keys, I will park it so it doesn't get towed."
And at that, he'll toss the keys and go, "All right."
They land on the ground, and the droid just clumsily picks them up and then gets in the car, and it's like... And he did have the doctor's logo painted on his chest. So the moment that you step in, the place definitely smells like sick people. There's actually a lot of families in this clinic. And one of the nurses comes forward and says, "Okay, well, the abscess was removed, Mrs. Michaels. Just keep it, do what you can." And this older lady, not old, but her hair's white and she's got wrinkles beset in her face. She reaches into her purse, pulls out a credit, and hands it to the nurse, who's a male. And she says, "It's not much, but it's all I have." He says, "No, the doc says it's on the house, okay? You just take care of your kids." And in fact, he wanted me to give this to you. And he goes over and grabs a box off the counter and hands them a bunch of rations. And they of course break down in tears and leave, and everybody in the waiting room just kind of politely and respectfully watches this. The light's from a rotating ceiling fan, so occasionally the light gets broken up by a blade that's like woot 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 as it spins around. There's pleasant music playing, but it's playing through some really shit speakers. It's like there's a couple fake plants down here, and the chairs are leather, but they've got holes in them, and some disrespectful patients have written like Corey was here on the wall, your basic disrespectful stuff. But the patrolman busts in with Buck, and a few of the people recline from the cops. They're like, "Oh, the Popo's here." And you recognize the look. It's like, well, they're in trouble too, so maybe they're not going to bust me for the drugs I have in my pocket. It's not like I've got a warrant out for my arrest. It's more like just regarding Corsac with some sense of apprehension. And Buck just looks very, very pale. And on the wall in the hallway, there's a desk where the receptionist is. There's the nurse talking with the family, and a hallway leading to the back of the facility. There's like butcher's aprons covered in blood hanging up, dripping into a vent.
And at that, he's going to turn back and look at the guy who said that the doctor here is good, and is like, "Man, I hope he's as good as you say he is." And he's going to yell, "We need a doctor! We need an emergency right away!"
You hear ting 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 come from the back, and he's like, "Oh, balderdash! I've been working on that for weeks." And you see the shadow coming through the hallway, and this Mon Calamari rounds the corner, and he's got a monocle, and he's like, "Yes."
We got a wounded Corsac soldier or a officer here. We need medical attention. You ain't got long.
Oh yes, and he appears to be looking at him through the monocle, which has a crack going all the way through the middle of it. Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. Oh, his vitals are pretty bad, but I could stabilize the bleeding. Why don't you bring him back here?
And
the patrolman and Buck just willingly go. Do you follow?
After they pass, he's quite curious to see how this is going to play out. So he wants to see if this guy's as good as he says he is. So he's going to follow him back and just curiously watch.
Yeah, and as you're following from the back, the doctor almost looks at you and goes, yes, hang on, puts an apron on, wipes some of the blood off, wipes it onto his pants, realizes that defeats the purpose of the apron, and he's like, bugger. And he reaches into his pouch and hands you the stim pack that has been heavily modified. For one, instead of being small and transportable, it's the size of a can of air. With a needle that's super long, and he's like, can you stab him in the back with this? It will help.
I suppose, is there anywhere I want to avoid or hit?
No, it's just best if he's not expecting it, because he'll resist.
Okay. All right. So Lucius will take it kind of like, he's got that criminal background, so he kind of slyly, kind of walks, and he's just kind of stepping back, looking, kind of looking this disgusted look, and he's just wandering towards the back of him, and as just without effort, as he's looking like that, he just stabs him right in the back.
Yeah, and when you stab, you realize that there's a mechanism in it that goes, and it drills into his back, and the entire thing goes and pumps it full there. And he's like, you're gonna feel much better, alright? I'm gonna remove these and it's going to heal you. He just gave you a stim pack I invented years ago that works great. It does cause an addiction to stems, though, so you're gonna want to stop by my office once a week. And you're gonna want to get your shipment of stems, but it'll totally save your life. Come with me. And he leads Buck and the patrolman into the back and kind of squeezes your arm gently. You have quite a future as a nurse, my friend.
No, I'll stick with piloting.
Piloting? Say, I've got a job, if you need it.
Okay. Right now, or can it wait?
It can wait, but not long. I'll tell you what it is. I found an antidote to a disease, and it's spreading like wildfire on a planet, and I need you to take it over there. And they're fighting a civil war right now, and I really have a lot of faith in the people who are suffering from this virus. So if you could, you know what I'm saying? Right? Right.
Okay. I suppose we could do it. Let me bring it up to my captain, but
yes. I think the only risk you'll have to worry about is Trandocean battleships and the like. Anyway, have a nice one. Here's my card. If you need to call me back, you can reach this facility, and information's on that. And you look down at the card, and it actually has his rank, and it says Destiny Horizon on it. So it says Field Medic Commander. He's looking at it, and he goes, bugger! And he takes it from you. That's the old card. I keep it for memento's sake. Never know when it's going to come in handy. Here you are. And hands you the correct card.
Okay. All right. And I will talk to my captain, and we'll get a hold of you shortly, I would assume. Maybe. I don't know.
How long has it been since your last physical? And he grabs your crotch.
It's probably been about a month or two.
You know, because of your... Oh, don't lie to me. I can see with this... Because of your age, you should see me for a prostate exam. You know, you humans, you've got problems with tumors and the sort. Anyway, I've got to go. I'll wash my hands before dealing with Buck, I promise. Have a nice one. And he turns and, like, skitters into the back.
And he'll just look around and go, okay, I gotta get the hell out of here. And he'll just turn around and walk the hell out at that point. There's just a little too much for him to take at this point. But as he's walking out, he'll look at the card.
The nurse stops you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, sweetie, listen. And I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job or anything, but I just had a bunch of dudes come to me and ask me a bunch of questions about you. They saw you come in. The doctor has a back exit if you want.
Okay, what did they look like?
You know, the Black Sun variety.
Oh shit! And he'll put his card and he'll just turn around and book the hell out the back door. And
Yeah, you're running through the back door. It's just like those Chinese Chinatown like restaurants where there's gambling in the back, right? But instead of gambling, it's the medical facility. And you're running through, and there's just a bunch of nurses washing their hands. And then you get to the part where Buck's going, ah! As the doctor's like, oh, quit. He's standing on his back, and he's like, quit being a baby, the stem pack. And just ripping these pieces of metal out. And then barking orders at the patrolman to stave the bleeding. Who's on a comm going, yeah, he was injured down at the junkyard. Quan Ki's fine, though he's not. And then you just run past them, and then there's the back doors.
And he's gonna look to see which way to go real quick to see if he can figure out if they've are outside, out front, or on the van
like
or whatnot.
You're peeking out the door?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna peek out the door.
It's an alleyway, and all you see is a woman leaning on the wall outside smoking her cigarette.
Alright, he will walk up to her and nonchalantly and say, hey, you got one of those for me?
Is this you accepting that date we talked about earlier? And you look up, and it's the lady from the Valkyries.
Oh! Wow. Yes, it is.
She smiles.
Yes, it is.
She smiles and flips out a cigarette. And she's like, so, you caused quite the trouble, Mr. Felon.
What do you mean?
Well, I've been following you since the Madame had that discussion with you in the bar, and been through a lot of shit. Now the Black Sun's after you? My dad would hate to find out I was traveling with somebody as dangerous as you. She smiles flirtatiously.
Ooh.
Oh, she's got daddy issues.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Daddy
most of
right.
Madame's...
Yes,
I mean,
have
she
caused
does
a little
run
bit
a
of trouble.
freaking, like, brothel
Apparently.
stripper bar with overly aggressive female bodyguards. So, yeah, I think that's like a job qualification. Do you still speak to your father? No.
But yeah, Lucius will say, yeah, I suppose we have done a little bit of bad stuff. As
I
of
wouldn't say
recent.
anything you've done bad. I just think you stirred up the hornet's nest with that Quan Ki business.
Yeah, a little bit. Most people would call that bad, I guess.
Well, I've been trying to find you and Sirius. Do you want to take a walk? And she motions to the alleyway that's leading to the street where the Black Sun guys are.
Well, okay, yeah. We'll
Yeah,
take a
don't-
walk.
She smiles. Don't be a pussy. And she kind of jerks her head. And as you guys are walking down the alleyway towards the street, she's like, you know, Raoul says he should have your ships finished soon.
Oh. Well, that'll be good. We'll be able to make a little bit more money, hopefully.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the Madame's been doing some checks for you, and there's a shipment that's going out.
Oh, really? Do you know what it is?
I happen to be privy to the... Well, actually, I just really stole her data pad and looked at it for a second, but I'm sure she knows. She kind of dismisses it.
Oh.
I read your records, and thought we'd just be upfront with you. Apparently, what she's delivering is some old equipment, transfusion equipment, the old cloning equipment that we don't use anymore for creating false limbs, and a bunch of cybernetics equipment to Bespin.
Ooh, Bespin, huh? That could be interesting, too. And he pulls out the card and looks and goes, it must be our lucky day. And I go, I think Sirius would be interested in that.
I'm not supposed to talk to you about it, so I'm just supposed to tell you the madame wants to speak to you guys when you get back. She rounds she rounds the corner and reaches down to her hip as she's smiling at you. So, it sounds like you guys are a go.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Sirius will be all good for it.
Excellent. You hear, there he is! And she pulls her blaster out and fires, and this green bolt hits him right in the arm, and it just disintegrates it. And he's like, ah! And that's when you hear a more calm voice. I believe that was quite unnecessary, don't you? And you look over, and there's a man with black hair that's slicked back. And he's got a black, thin goatee, and he's more of an Asian influenced man. Very, very stoic expression. And he's standing there in full Black Sun regalia, just waiting politely as his comrade is screaming on the ground. I was hoping for a diplomatic meeting.
What do you want?
I'm actually wondering what you want. Your crew has created quite the ruckus for me.
Well, it seems you've been creating quite the ruckus down here yourselves.
Nothing we haven't done before, yet you're new. My name is Haijin, and he whips his hair over, and it kind of falls over one side of his head. And you see that his head's shaved with odd shapes going down the side of it. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to show the audience, but I'm going to go ahead and move the players over to this scene.
He'll say, you know, maybe it's time for a change down here. Maybe some new blood.
He grins. I am so glad to hear you say this.
You guys still there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Did James freeze?
I think so. No, he's still
I got him.
Okay. Okay, he just froze up on my end.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
So has the screen changed on your Roll20?
Yep.
Oh, that's what it was.
Black Sun hideout.
Yeah, so don't worry about the hideout. Just look at hygiene for the face. I'm not going to show the audience. So up in the top right corner of this rather large image is hygiene.
Oh, okay.
I'd swap back, but apparently that caused my network to lag because my network's a piece of shit. Rainier disconnect. All right, so Lucius, he's not making any aggressive moves. And you know he can't be the only one. But you don't see the others. Meanwhile, your Valkyrie's standing there with her hands on her pistol, and she's ready to rock. She's ready to murder.
So what is it you want? You said you wanted to know what we wanted. We want to change things down here. What do you want?
Well, I was running a lucrative Crimson Tide trade until you guys interrupted the process.
Well, see, that's the problem. If you were doing gambling, prostitution, something like that, a little bit more of a, you know, vice thing, that's fine. But running drugs, I have a big problem with that.
Are you lecturing me on morals despite your past?
It is what it is, brother.
Oh, but you've decided to change. Listen, we're not here for you, okay? We're here for the others. I have on my reports, and he pulls out this data pad. I'm looking for a Here, a Viatar, and a Grodd, and I know for a fact Grodd is with you.
Well, I don't know any here, and I don't know any Viatar.
I was afraid you might say
I don't know
that.
where he's at right now.
Well, rats. You see, we agents in the Syndicate, we all share responsibility. And we all have responsibility. Responsibility we are more than happy to serve. But Prince Shisor is not easily swayed. Unfortunately, one of his best lieutenants, the Ghost, he's very upset. He says that your men struck at him the other day, again, and destroyed a bioweapon of theirs. And he wants blood.
At that
Damn
goes-
spider.
Well, the Ghost, if you
Wow.
remember, it was the bald pirate you guys ran into in the very first episode.
Very beginning, right? Yeah, and I'm seeing
That you guys
I'm seeing the spider
outsmarted.
popping its head up and screwing things up again.
at the Ghost, he's just like, look, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know any ghost. So what is it to me?
Well, you give me Grodd, and I get to piss the Ghost off even further, making him look the fool in front of Prince Shisor. I
Well,
take Grodd,
I would have to say that's
I
up to
sell
Grodd,
him to the new
but
hut.
I could say that again.
I take Grodd, and instead of delivering him to the Ghost or Prince Shisor, I sell him to the Hutts who are currently looking for him. And, then he disappears and the Ghost doesn't get his way. Then the Ghost gets exterminated. Then all of his ships, they're going to need an agent to take over them. Maybe I won't have to stay on Coruscant.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal for you, but what's in it for me?
The Black Sun would leave Coruscant entirely. This place has been sapped dry of its usefulness now that it's not the capital. So you
That
give
is
me
a pretty good
Grodd,
proposition.
I leave.
Okay. Well, it's not my decision to make totally, but
Oh,
if
I'm
I run
sure
into
Grodd will
Grodd-
have something to say.
Oh, I do have stuff to say. You're not wrong on that. But when I run into Grodd, I will bring up this proposition to him.
Excellent. Here, if I may, and he looks to your Valkyrie comrade holding his hand up as he's going to reach into his vest. And even though he's wearing like a battle vest, he's also wearing a Chinese suit underneath it. And he looks over to her and she looks at you all panicked like, dude, I could do this guy in right here, right now.
And he goes, it's fine.
He smiles and steps forward and hands you a little plastic card, like a little business card.
Excellent. And it's got your contact information to get a hold of you?
No. It has a location you can be at any of these 3 points in the city at these times of day, and you'll know that you can get in contact with me with the Black Sun agents that you meet there.
And they'll know why I'm there, correct? No
Well,
surprises?
when you mention Grodd, they'll know why you're there. If you don't have Grodd, then they're gonna pretend like they have no idea who you are.
Excellent. I can see you haven't gotten it where you're at by being stupid.
No. Needless blood is needless blood. See, I need people to stay alive. There's no one to take Crimson Tide if they're all dead.
Point noted.
Of course,
All right.
in my field of
I
business...
will bring this to Grodd. Huh?
We do. In my field of business, we do have a phrase. Use Crimson Tide, or else there'll be a Crimson Tide. I'll let you piece that together.
I think I got it. I will bring this to Grodd when I see him. And we'll be a hold of you if the deal's made. If not, I guess you'll know in a few days.
Excellent. Now, as for your comrade here, I can't have her going around shooting my men and not getting punished for it. He snaps his finger, and 3 black sun guards come around the corner. And
Now,
they look
wait a
very
minute.
upset.
This was not part of the deal.
I'm making a deal with you, not her. She looks nervous.
Well, see, she's with me. So...
I
you got a
highly
problem.
doubt that. I've been around a long time. This woman is
And at that-
far beyond your scope.
At that, he just kind of looks and goes, well,
And
shall
all
we
of a sudden,
dance?
she turns around and plants a firm kiss on Lucius, like just slamming him against the wall, holding her pistol out at the Black Sun as she's making out with Lucius. And Hygiene's like, she passes for now, but if I don't get Grodd in 2 days, her head's on the block as well. Goodbye.
And he goes, "Woo."
She pulls away to shut you up and just keeps kissing you, and you realize that it must be a couple minutes now, but the Black Sun, they're long gone. They're wounded guy, they're gone. But you guys are still in this embrace. And that's where we're going to end part 2 of tonight's episode. Thank you very much. If you liked the episode, hit a like button, subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification button, because if you want to see all 3 campaigns to understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes and know where the plot is and why the players are fumbling around it like clumsy oafs, watch all 3 campaigns. It's that simple. All right, for now, bye-bye. Check out part 3.